Okay, you let y equal 0, so replace that. Okay, don't do that. All right, -7, take it over. Okay, you guys get +7. So for those of you that wrote, that wasn't an issue. What's the reciprocal of -1/2? -2. Do not switch the sign. You switch the sign on adding and subtracting. You do not switch it on multiplication division. You keep the sign, you honor it. So, and if you just write -2, that's fine. All right, so negative is a, excuse marker. Negative is a positive. 2, 2, 1, 1, right? Okay, so I'm left with quantity x minus 5 squared. And -2 times 7, because some of you added, -14, and then 1/1 is just 1, right? Okay, that's what you should have. Now you square root. Now you're solving by square root, because you want to inverse operate the square. You can only square root when all you have is one term with the square and the coefficient is 1. So now... And so this is where you get rejected on the calculator. So if I was to type, right, math error, right, and that's because it's kicking in the imaginary, and so we're going to get a complex root. So remember, the square root of -1 is that I. It's the imaginary, right? So you're looking at this as rad 14, rad -1, if you were to separate. So this is your I, and then what's the square root of 14? Whoops, positive 14. The square root of positive 14, SD, 3.7. So you get plus or minus 3.7. So this is the equivalent to rad -14 is plus or minus 3.7i. And so then I'll finish off the right side, x minus 5. And so now you have to take the 5, inverse operate it, right? Take that term, move it to the left, but you jump the equal sign. So now you switch the sign, because if it's subtraction, you're adding 5, right? You're taking the opposite. So I'm going to take this, move it over, but it's going to be plus 5, right? So I get 5 plus or minus 3.7i equal x. You can write them separately if you like. So if you want to write them as two roots, 5 plus 3.7i, 5 minus 3.7i, you may, but it's the same thing. You cannot go 8.79 or 2.79. You can't do that. It's the 5 is a real number. The 3.7 is an imaginary component. So it's a complex number. If you guys remember. It's, if you guys remember, a plus bi. And again, all this was first semester of last year. And so because of the I, that's why when you go to graph it, it doesn't cross the x-axis, because you're going to have an imaginary root. Pause it because it's still recording. It'll clear, but then it'll